permit me to say this very painfully. Black South Africans are suffering from what is called the Stockholm Syndrome. They love their tormentors who are white. That is why it is not even xenophobia. A friend of me corrected me. It is Afrophobia.
Okay.
It is Africans that they do not want. It is the whites who still control over 70% of their land. It is the whites who run an enclave called Orania, where blacks are not allowed property. The Ghanaians have taken away or repatriated nearly 300 of them. The Nigerians are saying, and then they are saying that their fellow Africans are criminals. You would imagine that if you took away all the criminals, then South Africa would be heaven without any crime. Yet statistics tell us 90% of those in jail and counting are South African male, which means that they are the ones who are committing the crime. I think between 40,000 and 60,000 South Africans who are in exile in Mozambique, in Tanzania, in Zambia, in Kenya. I remember living next to a South African family in Jericho, and they never left. As I speak to you now, it is estimated that nearly 1 million South Africans live outside of South Africa.
Okay.
Acceptable. So when one sees what is happening, this Afrophobia, where they are telling us go and repair your country, I think some of them have never traveled, and they must imagine that in Africa we live on trees jumping from branch to branch.
Okay.
Perhaps some of them, we should give them a free tour of Africa, including Nairobi and Dar es Salaam and other places and Abuja, so that they are able to see that we cannot in good nature talk about African integration.
What if I told you? The biggest threat to African unity isn't from outside the continent, it's from inside it. A respected African intellectual just called it out by name. Not xenophobia, something worse. He calls it Afrophobia. Stay with me, because what he says next will make you angry and then make you think. This is Professor PLO Lumumba, lawyer, Pan-Africanist, one of the continent's most fearless voices. Earlier this year, as attacks on African migrants spread across South Africa, he did something most politicians were too afraid to do. He wrote directly to President Cyril Ramaphosa. His message was blunt. South Africa is supposed to be Africa's anchor economy, a symbol of what the continent can become. Instead, he says, it was letting mobs decide who belongs and who doesn't. The core argument. Here's what shook people. Lumumba says every nation has the right to know who's crossing its borders. Fine. But he draws a hard line between border control and what he witnessed. Vigilante groups roaming the streets of Durban and Johannesburg, stopping people, demanding papers, hurling slurs like makwarikwear at fellow Africans. He says he received a flood of letters after speaking out, some furious, some later apologetic once he laid out the history. And his response to the loudest justification, that migrants are stealing jobs, is where this gets uncomfortable. He says it's a lie. He points to entrepreneurs from Somalia, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, people who built businesses and created jobs in neighborhoods where, he argues, opportunity didn't exist before they arrived. So if it's not really about jobs, then what is it about? The gut punch line. This is where Lumumba says something few would dare say out loud. He argues black South Africans are struggling with what he calls a kind of Stockholm Syndrome, directing rage at fellow Africans while, in his words, white-owned enclaves and roughly 70% of the land remain untouched by the same anger. That's why he insists this isn't xenophobia at all. It's Afrophobia, a fear and resentment aimed specifically at other Africans, while other imbalances go unchallenged. Whether you agree with every word or not, it's the kind of claim that forces a room to go quiet. The human cost. And this isn't abstract. Lumumba lists the toll. Mozambican nationals killed. Hundreds of Ghanaians packing up and leaving the country. Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Malawians, all watching the same pattern play out. He brings up crime statistics too, arguing the overwhelming majority of people in South African jails are South African nationals themselves, which undercuts the narrative that foreigners are driving crime. Then he drops the historical gut check. During the anti-apartheid struggle, tens of thousands of South Africans lived as refugees, sheltered in Zambia, Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya. Nearly 1 million South Africans still live abroad today. His question hits hard. If the continent sheltered you once, how do you now turn on the continent? The warning. Lumumba invokes something chilling. The famous words of Martin Niemöller. First they came for the Jews, and I said nothing because I was not a Jew. His warning? Today it's foreign Africans. Tomorrow, he says, the same mobs turn on other South African ethnic groups. Once scapegoating starts, it doesn't stay contained. He's also blunt about leadership, accusing politicians of staying silent or being slow to act because outrage is politically useful. Keep people angry and poor, he argues, and they'll fill your rallies without ever asking why they're still poor. The alternative path. But here's the twist. Lumumba doesn't call for revenge. He says the answer to hate should be love, not retaliation. Don't expel them back. Don't mistreat them in response. Disarm hate by refusing to mirror it. What he does demand is accountability, real prosecution of those organizing the violence, and government policy that clearly regulates which sectors are reserved for locals versus open to foreign investment, so resentment has less room to grow in the first place. He even suggests an economic reckoning is coming, that tourism, trade, and goodwill across Africa could quietly collapse if this continues unchecked. So ask yourself, is this really about jobs? Or is it about who gets to be angry and at whom? Professor Lumumba didn't just criticize a government. He held up a mirror to an entire continent's contradictions. If this made you think, even a little uncomfortable, that's the point. Follow for more breakdowns of the speeches shaping Africa's future, and drop a comment. Do you agree this is Afrophobia, or something else entirely?